First Book of Moses, Bereshayath, Chapter 1, First Creation by Elohim. In the former time periods, as a powerful sign of working, chief son and heir Elohim filled with choice things, behold, as a sign Shemayim, the place of the names, and behold, as a sign Aratz, the chief place of running. But observe how Aratz was unorganized and empty, and Sheshach rose up from the deep waters, went up to its face, but the Ruach Elohim, as a wall of protection, moved violently upon the surface of the waters. Elohim then declared, light he will exist, and light he will exist. And Elohim gazed upon that beautiful light, and Elohim made distinctive the light from the darkness. And to the light Elohim called out the name Ya'um, and to the darkness he called out the name Leah Laha. This was the close and the dawn of the first age.
The Ketub Abarayath, or the Paleo-Hebrew, is a language over 5,000 years old. It chronicles a story branching forth from ancient time. His story, Yahweh. Walk into his story. Read the Paleo-Hebrew scriptures.
Shabbat Shalom. My name is noelhadley. It looks like my microphone is working. If it's not and I'm talking silently like I did last week or probably the week before that, my wife will run up here presently and let me know that I'm not coming in clear to you guys. But I think I am. Happy to be here. Hope you guys are too. You can see I'm back home. Last week I was in my fifth wheel out at Myrtle Beach. Of course, we rented the house out, and anytime somebody wants to rent our house, we'll just get up and leave. I guess that's the way it goes. And anyways, we're back home again. Feels good to be here. We have a lot to cover tonight. Before charging into this, though, I mean, it was the gunshot sprint, right? And that's how it is with these Torah portions. I want to just point this out again. If you are new to this, I had a conversation today. I had a few phone conversations today, a lot of people, but with a lovely gentleman, and he says he's listening tonight. He knows who he is. And I get asked a lot, like, people are new to the Torah and they're recognizing that the first 90% of the Bible actually was written to them. They weren't just written to these Jewish people in the wilderness in the first century. Like, they were literally written for all of Israel. That's us. And they're like, well, what now? What do I do now? Some of you out there, you might be like a go-getter. Like, you're like, you cram for the exam and you might go read the whole Torah in one weekend. Like, you don't sleep into, like, that might be you. But if it's not, like, don't sweat it, guys. What you need to be doing is the Torah portions. Now, it doesn't have to be with me. It could be with any other Torah portions provider, back alley provider out there. Or it could be on your own, or even here at the Unexpected Cosmology on our Discord page, which I invite everyone to it. We have the Torah portions on Sabbath every Saturday. So you can come by and do a live read with us there. But the thing is that the thing is that every single one of us, I hope, my goal, my desire for every one of you is that you're doing this because you want to do it, because you love doing it, because you actually want to serve our Creator and you want to learn more about who He is. And so recognizing that we're in this for the long haul, that we want to live a life, we're not expecting the world to end. Maybe some of you might expect the world to end in 2026 or even before 2025 is over. I don't really know. I haven't, looked at all the conspiracy theories out there. But I am anticipating that I am going to, grow older, raise a family, and then die, unless Yah takes me earlier. And I want to enjoy my service to Him. And I recognize that if I don't enjoy it now, what makes me think I'm going to enjoy it in eternity? What's going to change? So that's my piece of advice to everyone out there, is to love the King, love Yahshua, want to be a servant of him, want to be a soldier for Christ, and get out there and just read the books. And of course, I like to cover the extra biblical books tonight, which every week, which I'll be doing tonight as well. I have some surprises for you guys. Before we do get into it, I'm going to go ahead and, here we go. Are you ready for this? Some of you might have to blink, and be careful, like you don't have like a mouthful of coffee. You're gonna, I don't want you choking on a blueberry scone as you see this. Here we go. I am releasing the budget for next year. Now, up to this point in time, I've never done this before. We are done with the GoFundMe's. I think if you still want to give to the GoFundMe, that's fine. We still have it out there. But I guess this is where it hits the fan and people really realize like what we're doing here. I'm putting together a $90,000 budget for 2026, and this is to cover Pamela and Rebecca. This also goes to me and my family, but I want you guys all to realize that Pamela is raising her grandchildren. It's not just her. It's not just an old woman in a house. She is raising her grandchildren, and Rebecca as well with her son. And they qualify for the widow ministry, and they are doing an amazing work here. The reason we're doing this projecting for the whole year is because we're looking 10, 15 years in the future. Like my number one goal in life is I want to see the Paleo Hebrew scriptures in finished form. That is what I am investing in and working towards. And so we are asking for everyone to join us on this. And it might feel like a drop in the bucket for some of you. You might have $5 and you're like, what is that gonna, it makes a difference, believe me. So there's that right there. And this is for we're not going to just, it's became disorienting, every month or two. Well, here's a new GoFundMe, and then let's start a new one and a new one. So yeah, there it is. Give, Send, Go. I love gifts. So far, I really like Give, Send, Go. They don't take up anything for themselves. It's purely Christian ministry focused. And you're going to find a link for that underneath this video or on this YouTube channel. And I'll be sure to post this in more areas. The thing is, though, too, is that Patreon, if you guys don't know about Patreon is still the way to go, because for every single dollar you guys give, if it's $5, $15, $30, $50, $75, $150, every month, we're getting ready to do it in a couple of days. On Sunday, Rebecca is going to be rolling out the new coupons. We give the exact amount back to you in coupons, gift certificates that you can spend in our store. I've had people tell me like, oh, Matt, I want to support your ministry, but then I can't do that. And I can't afford the Gospel of Matthew that, Pamela put out. Yes, you can. You can totally afford it, because the money you give to this, we give it back to you so you can go, get that. The Torah portion study guides, those are my absolute favorites for studying the Aramaic, the Greek LXX, and the Masoretic and the Paleo. You can get those as well, right? They're all what our ministry gives back to you in supplies. So study materials, and we have so much more coming this next year, guys. I'm really excited by all that's coming up. Let's get right into the Lord's Prayer. I'll read the standard and then the Paleo side by side. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Deliver us from the evil one. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen. Reading from the Paleo. Our Father, set apart is your name, and your royal dominion, your pleasure, your delight, you will exist in Shamayam and in Arats. And give us our bread continually, and pardon our faults, our sins and missteps, in the same manner in which we forgive those who commit faults, sins, missteps against us. And do not bring us into the hands of testing, but guard us from all evil. Amen. Oh, there's one more thing here. Put this on your calendar. A lot of people are asking me, Noel, why aren't you doing a Passover event this year? Well, I am keeping Passover this year, but I'm not hosting a Passover retreat like I did last year. I looked into it, didn't really work out, but something better is happening. And it's not complete. It's all but greenlit. I haven't signed on the dotted line yet. So I will unroll more of this, the details for you once it is, once we get the tickets selling and all that kind of stuff. But Sukkot 2026 in Branson, Missouri. That's where it's going to be. You can see the dates there. Put it on your calendar, September 25th through October 4th. It's going to be a lot of fun, guys. Getting together, camping for a whole week together, and seeing if if we're not wringing each other's neck by the end of it. You never really know with these things, but love you guys. Looking forward to it. So something to look forward to right there. Oh, also, I wanted to thank Jen Spurl, who, if you remember a few months back, I talked about Mr. Planter. I talked about him for a couple weeks, and he, became the focus. I think it was in the Meaning of Life series, if you ever saw those. And I talked about all the hardships that Mr. Planter had to go through in order to be a vessel to create, help grow life and plants and so on and so forth. And Jen Spurl, I was actually showing her photos online, and she was very kind to send me a welcome home gift of my own Mr. Planter. So I don't know if that's going to be the permanent place for Mr. Planter is going to go. I set him up in the bathroom. She recommended, well, you could use it as a soap dish, but I think he's going to go in the kitchen, and I think he's going to have life within him, a plant. That's not his permanent spot, but it was a good place to set him up, take pictures. So I will keep you all posted on where Mr. Planter ends up in my house. Something to look forward to in the upcoming weeks, I'm sure. And don't forget the endless book drive, the eternal book drive we have here. If you have old books, please send them in to me. We will resell them. That's one of the ways you can support us. Let's get right into this. This is actually, if you're looking at this and going Genesis 31, but Noel, this week we're supposed to be on like Genesis 32, 33. You have arrived at the right Torah portion. Well, I can't say that. I don't know if you've arrived. I mean, maybe you're like on week 7, week 9. You're not supposed to be in week 8. But if you're looking for week 8, I assure you, I think I can assure you that unless if I'm confused, this is correct. We didn't make it all the way through last week, and I really want to cover every line of this. I told you we weren't going to make it. I'm not going to tell you that this week. But last week I said again, we're not going to make it. We didn't. But here we go. But he heard the words of the sons of Laban speaking, Yaakov will take for himself all that our father has, and from our father possessed, he has made all his wealth. Yaakov consequently regarded the face of Laban and perceived it was not with him as formerly. So we're ending, the years of Jacob's trouble here, and he's about to run out in the middle of the night, take his wives and sons and his daughter and go. Then Yahweh, the ever-living, said to Yaakov, return to the land of your fathers and your birth, and I will be with you. Now, it's interesting that in the book of Jasher, which we'll cover tonight, it's actually, he gets a letter from his mommy, from Rivka, from Rebecca in the Paleo. And she's like, you need to come home. So it's kind of interesting how it kind of lines up with Yahuwah speaking with him. So Yaakov sent and called Rachel and Leah to the field of his sheep and said to them, I see that the face of your father is not with me as formerly, but the Allahayam of my fathers is with me. Now, you know what amazes me about this Torah portion as I was studying it out this week? It amazes me every year that his wives are not fully committed to Yahweh, as far as my knowledge goes. It seems like, and actually we're going to see that his own sons, as powerful as they are, as these mighty men who are apparently serving Yahweh, they seem to have other gods at this time. Now, at the end of this portion, they will have dumped those other gods, but it's crazy to think that like 20 something years have gone by and there's these other gods in the household. Now, you know that with all my strength, I have served your father, but your father has deceived me and changed my wages 10 times. Well, isn't that interesting, Mr. I deceived my own brother and my father. Allahayam, however, did not allow him to do evil to me. For when he said, the spotted shall be your wages, all the sheep were spotted. But if he said, the streaked shall be your wages, then all the sheep were streaked. So Allahayam took away the flocks of your father and gave them to me. It also happened in the season of the heat of the sheep that I raised my eyes in a dream, and I saw the rams leaping on the streaked, speckled, and spotted sheep. And Malak Allahayam said to me in the dream, Yaakov. And I replied, behold me. Then he said, Lift up your eyes and see all the rams leaping on the streaked, speckled, and spotted sheep, for I have seen all that Laban has done to you. I, the owl of the house of Al, Baal, which you consecrated there in the pillar which you dedicated to me, where you vowed a gift. Go from this country and return to the country of your birth. Then Rachel and Leah answered and said to him, what portion of inheritance is there to us in the house of our father? And we not like strangers and outcasts of him? For he sold us and has eaten up our money. For all the wealth which Elohim has stripped from our father that is ours and our children's, so do all that Elohim has said to you. Therefore Yaakov arose and mounted his children and wives on camels and collected the whole of his herds and the whole of the property which he had acquired by trading, property he had acquired in Padam Aram, to go to his father Yitzchak in the land of Canaan. Laban, however, had gone to shear his sheep. Then Rachel secretly took away the teraphim which were her father's. Thus Yaakov stole away secretly from Laban the Arameah without informing him, for he fled from him. And we'll be looking a little bit more at these teraphim in a few minutes. So he fled, and he and all he possessed, and they went up and crossed over the river, and he set his face to Mount Gilead. But on the third day, it was reported to Laban that Yaakov had fled. Really? He went out. I guess he was with the sheep for 3 days. I guess he didn't come home. So then he took his relatives with him and pursued after him a 7 days journey and came up with him at Mount Gilead. But Elohim appeared to Laban the Arameah in a dream by night. This right here, pointing out, has Balaam written all over it. Remember that Yahweh appeared to Balaam too, and I don't think that's a coincidence. Of course, Balaam was a prophet. He technically was a prophet for Yahweh, even though he was evil. And here, Laban, he too gets a message, but he seems I don't know how much he disregards of it, because you'll see right here. Elohim appeared to Laban, the Arameah, in a dream by night and said to him, guard yourself in what you do to Yaakov, for either good or ill. So, I think that maybe in he wouldn't have told them that if Laban wasn't like, he had some hot thoughts about going and, trampling down Yaakov and taking his daughters back. And he doesn't do that. So I think maybe he did take, he realized this is legit. Yahweh, what he's saying here, Balaam kind of did the same thing as well. So Laban overtook Yaakov, and Yaakov had pitched his tent on the hill, but Laban with his relatives on Mount Gilead. Laban then said to Yaakov, what have you done? You have carried away my daughters like captives. Desolate? Why did you steal away secretly, flying away, and to deceive me and not inform me when I would have sent you away with pleasure and with the sound of drums and harps? I don't believe that. I don't believe he would have. I think he's being deceptive. And I think he saw his daughters as his own and Yaakov as a slave of his. You have not even let me kiss my children and your children. Have you ever, been in that position before where you had to get proactive? They're like gaslighting you, you're like, you had to get proactive, and now they're trying to make it out like you have the rotten fruit. That's what he's trying to do here. Like, to Yaakov, has anybody listening, you ever had to flee from a relationship? I've never had to, but I know that there are people who have to make that hard decision, and you literally have to run. So apparently, he would have played the drums and played the harps as they marched out if he had gone and told them. And you and I probably know that wouldn't have been the case. You have not even let me kiss my poor children and your children. Notice how he said my children first. You have acted like a fool. Truly, there is an Elohim who guides me from evil in acting with you. And this is great, because this is Yaakov's Elohim that appeared to him, Yahweh. He appeared to, he has been guarding and taking care of Yaakov this whole time, but now, he's virtue signaling Laban / Balaam or Baal, whatever, Balaam. He's virtue signaling, and he's like, right, holier than thou. We've all been a part of these theological conversations before. Different denominations, but same conversations. For the Alahayam of your father last night said to me, and you notice he said your father, right? Because he's got like, he's got some ownership, issues with like Yitzhak. His sister went off with Yitzhak, all that stuff. Guard yourself in dealing with Yaakov for good or ill. So go on your journey, for you desire the house of your father. But why have you stolen my Alaha? Then Yaakov replied, because I was afraid, for I said he will certainly steal his daughters from me. If, however, you find your Alaha, it is not known to me. Go round what is with me and take your own. For Yaakov did not know that Rachel had stolen them. Laban, however, went around the tents of Yaakov and the tents of Leah and to the tents of the two mothers and did not find them. Consequently, he left the tent of Leah and went to the tents of Rachel. But Rachel had taken the teraphim and placed them under the camel saddle and sat upon them. So Laban searched all the tents and could not find. And she said to her father, let it not grieve your eyes, Adonijah, that I am not able to rise before you, for the way of women is on me. So he searched and did not find the teraphim. Then Yaakov was furious and abused Laban. And Yaakov was savage and said to Laban, what is my fault? And what is my sin that you have come after me? Like Laban, I think, is like, I don't know if this guy is, I kind of think he's like, I don't know. He's a master passive aggressive guy. I think, he's like never at fault. He's just going to move the goalie net. You try to like attack the issue, like what's going on, and he makes you out like you're the crazy one because he's passive. You see. Now you have searched all my goods. What have you found of all the goods of your house? I mean, I'm finding this aggressive because, anybody who hounds me down and demands I'm going to look through all of your stuff. And then he's still, after he doesn't find it, he's still putting on Yaakov like, he's the one with the rotten fruit. He's got the issue. Put it before me, before my people and your people, and they shall decide between us. During the 20 years I have been with you, I have not lost a sheep or goat of yours, and I have never eaten a ram of your flock. I have not brought you the Mamid. I have borne the loss from my own hand. I have restored to you the stolen by day and the stolen by night. I have borne the heat by day and the cold by night, and my eyes have never rested. These 20 years I have been in your house. I served you 14 years for your two daughters and 6 years for your sheep, and you have cheated me over my wages 10 times. If the Allahim of my father Abraham and the fear of Yitzhak had not been with me, then you would have sent me away empty. But Allahim saw my weary feet and defended me last night. So now he's turning the tables on Laban and saying, yeah, look, like you're putting it on me how my God appeared to you and now you're holier than thou. I'm telling you, my God did that to protect me. It had nothing to do with you. It wasn't for your sake, but for my sake. But Laban answered and said to Yaakov, the girls are my girls and the children are my children. It reminded me, this actually reminds me of the healthcare in Canada. Long story, but I'll have to tell you this to you guys sometime. And the sheep, my sheep, and all that you see is mine. And for the girls, what shall I do for them, or the children which they have borne? However, now come one and let you and me make a settlement, and let it be a witness between myself and you. Yaakov is just like, I mean, he's like, man, he's just trying to Laban is going to come out, on top again. Then Yaakov took a stone and set it up with both his hands. And Yaakov said to his father-in-law, let them collect stones. So they collected stones and made a heap. Then they feasted on the heap. Probably had like a covenant of salt or something like that. And Laban called it for himself the heap of the witnesses. But Yaakov called it for himself the heap of evidence. Laban also said, this heap is witness between me and you today. Therefore they called its name Galaad, and a watchtower. For he said, let Yahweh the ever-living watch between me and between you to keep each from evil. If you grieve my daughters, and if you take wives besides my daughters, when we are not together, let Allahayam see the witness between me and you. Isn't that interesting? I mean, you have to wonder why Laban was so intent on, he he's already got a polygamist for a son, right? Because he's married both of his daughters. He's got 2 women, not to mention the maidens of he's got really 4 women. But Laban wants to ensure that that he's got, all of Yaakov's children are through Laban's relations. Kind of interesting. See this heap and see the pillar which I have raised between me and between you. Witness this heap and witness the pillar, if I should pass over to you beyond this heap, or if you should pass over to me beyond this heap and this pillar for evil, the Alahayam of Abraham and the Alahayam of Nahor, or I guess it's still pronounced, but Nahor. We'll just say Nahor. Judge between us, the Alahayam of our fathers. Yaakov then swore by the worship of his father Yitzchak, and Yaakov sacrificed the sacrifice on the heap and invited his relatives to eat bread. So they ate bread and they rested on the heap. Laban then rose up in the morning and kissed his sons and daughters and blessed them and went and returned to his own place. But Yaakov continued his journey, and a Malach Alahayam met him. So Yaakov said, "What a glorious encampment of Alahayam this place is." Therefore, he called the name of this place the encampment. Then Yaakov sent messengers before him to his brother Esau, or Esau, at Mount Seir, and he commanded them, saying, "You shall say this to Adonijah Esau. Yaakov, your servant, says this: I have lodged with Laban and stayed until now, and there are with me bullocks and asses and sheep and serving men and women. So I have sent to inform my Adon to find favor in your eyes." So that's where last week's Torah portion ended. And all right, we're 26 minutes into it. Let's do the next one. Well, not quite yet, because I wanted to make a few notes here since Laban is kind of exiting the story, and I wanted to cover this last week. I wanted to make some connections between Laban and Balaam, or Biliam, depending on how you want to pronounce it, and connections with Phinehas and Elijah. Now, most of you know that I have done this before, looked at St. George, and I am convinced that St. George is either a prototype or a direct, that he is the prophesied Elijah that was to come. And for those of you who are like, "Oh yeah, sure, right." Well, you know what? It's like 100-page paper. I did go give it a glance, put a lot of work into it. And so here, this is the Aramaic Targum. And this is when Balaam is finally killed. And the person who does it, according to this, in Numbers 31, the Aramaic Targum, is Phinehas, and it says this. And it was when Balaam, Phinehas here, this is the connections of St. George, of course. This picture right here just is straight up looks like St. George, and he's got the lance on the horse. He's riding in on the horse, but you see that with the slaying of the dragon. And I hope everyone knows that the dragon was actually Hasatan, embodying or possessing the emperor who was killing Christians all over the world. And I've shown the text that says that. Originally, the oldest texts say that, and then later on, it just became a physical dragon. But originally, esoterically, it was he's a reptilian hunter. So this is what Phinehas does. It was when Balaam the guilty saw Phinehas the high priest pursuing him, he made use of his magical arts and flew in the air of the heavens. But Phinehas forthwith pronounced the great and holy name and flew after him. So this is kind of interesting because for those of you who tuned in to Dr. Manzo's talk about a week ago, I asked him the question about what is witchcraft, and I am completely in full agreement with what he said, that both sides do some of the same things. The difference is who the practitioner. Who are they worshiping? Are they worshiping the spirits of the dead, demons, other gods, or are they worshiping Yahweh? So here we can see Phinehas and Balaam doing the exact same thing. They're flying, like on a broomstick or something. I guess he grabs his lance and he flies. I don't really know, but he flies in the air after the heavens. For Phinehas is the same thing, and seized him by the head, and bringing him down, drew the sword and sought to kill him. But he opened his mouth with words of deprecation and said to Phinehas, "If you will spare my life, I swear to thee that all the days I live, I will not curse thy people." He answered him and said, so Phinehas is answering now. He says, aren't you not Laban the Amorite who did seek to destroy Yaakov, our father? So there it is right there. Who went down into Mitzrayim to destroy his children. So he's given a whole history here. So this is the last time we see Laban. Interestingly enough, now, Laban disappears, and then in the book of Jasher, very soon after, Balaam shows up down in Egypt, and he's down there trying to, and I think this answers the question as to why Laban made that covenant with Yaakov, and he's like, you better not marry any other women. Like the children need to come through my daughters. That was very important to him. So you see what's going on there. Now, here's the thing: is you could throw out this text and say it's not accurate. Is Laban and Balaam, are they like, is it like the same spirit that's like reincarnate or what? Well, the interesting thing about Phinehas is that he lived a very long time. We're looking at close to over 3 centuries, close to 4 centuries, perhaps. Phinehas, I'm not going to go through his whole history now because I've given this in the past. It would be a distraction from the overall Torah portions, but he goes all the way to the end of the book of Judges. And here's a time chart here. So we know that Phinehas was alive in Numbers, the book of Numbers. We know he appears in the book of Joshua, and he's seen again at the end of Judges, and he's very, very old. Not only that, Phinehas does not die. Apparently, he goes on to he becomes Elijah. All right. So Elijah appears. He's Phinehas. It says here that Phinehas would rise up and go from here and dwell in the desert on the mountain and dwell there many years. I will command my eagle, and he will nourish you there, and you will not come down again to mankind until the appointed time arrives. And you will be tested at the appropriate time, and then you will be shut up the heaven from rain, and by your mouth it will be opened up. Yada yada yada. Elijah did all the same things. This comes from the Biblical Antiquities of Pseudo Philo. And this, of course, right here in the Legends of the Jews, they tie him in with Elijah too. All right. So I've made that case before. And so it's interesting in the case where Phinehas appears in the Aramaic Targum, he does the same thing with Laban. And he's like, wait, I'm sorry, with Balaam. He's like, aren't you Laban? So it seems like he had prolonged years too. So Balaam was like in the game of duality. He was the evil wizard to Moses. And it's, to Moses being the white, he being the dark, and the same thing with Laban and Yaakov. But we also see some interesting similarities with Simon Magus. So this is an illustration here showing Peter commanding that Simon Magus come down. He could really fly. It shows, yes, he is using demons or unclean spirits to have him fly. Nevertheless, he did fly. It wasn't just an illusion. And he comes crashing down. I'm not going to read it. This comes from the Acts of Peter. Yeah, so he had a contest with him, and Simon Magus was the Balaam / Laban of the New Testament. And I wonder, I don't know. I'm not saying he's the same guy, but there are a lot of similarities between them. A lot between him and Balaam. I mean, if you could make Balaam incarnate, he was Simon Magus. All right, well, let's get into Jasher chapter 31 and read some of what we were covering. And I told you this, that Yaakov got a note from his mommy and the postal service that came by in the horses, stagecoach. And this is what it says here. At that time, Yaakov's mother, Rabakuha, sent her nurse Deborah, the daughter of Utz, and 2 of Yitzchak's servants unto Yaakov. And they came to Yaakov, to Haran, and they said unto him, Rivka, or Rabakuha, has sent us to you that you shall return to your father's house, to the land of Canaan. And Yaakov hearkened unto them in this which his mother had spoken. So it just kind of interesting, these 2 separate sources. And they, it's not saying that he didn't hear directly from Yahweh. Maybe he went to him for confirmation. He's like, yeah, you need to, or maybe Yahweh spoke first and then this letter appeared as confirmation. I don't really know how that worked, but it's interesting to see those 2 variations. So getting into the images, this is what it says here about them. These are the ones that Rivka stole from her father. And this is the manner of the images. And taking a man who is the firstborn and slaying him and taking the hair off his head and taking salt and salting the head and anointing it in oil. I almost wonder if they're like shrinking. I mean, they're preserving the head. Sometimes I wonder if they were like shrinking these. Probably not. Then taking a small tablet of copper or a tablet of gold and writing the name upon it and placing the tablet under his tongue. This sounds like, a lovely decor for your home. For those of you that are tired of shopping at Bed Bath and Beyond, you can always consider something like this. Put in the corner over there, in the like coffee and tea nook, and taking the head with the tablet under the tongue and putting it in the house. So there you see, they put it, over there in the breakfast nook over there, something to wake up to in the morning. And lighting up lights before and bowing down to it. And at the time when they bow down to it, it speaks to them in all matters that they ask of it through the power of the name which is written in it. And some make them in the figures of men of gold and silver and go to them in times known to them. And the figures receive the influence of the stars and tell them future things. All right. So, and these are what Rachel stole. I'm going to comment more about that on the idea that these evil spirits will enter this salted, creepy head from an Indiana Jones, like the Temple of Doom, like on a stake or something like that, with flames all around it, with the tongue hanging out, the eyeballs coming out of the sockets, all that good stuff. Every woman wants one of those for her wedding gift. They're highly coveted in Mesopotamia at the time. But I'll have more to say about that in a second. Let's keep looking here. And this is the tragic thing. Yaakov. So Laban comes in and he's accusing, Yaakov of stealing it. And we know that Yaakov does not know. His wife hid this from him. And Yaakov answered Laban, saying, because I was afraid lest you would take your daughters by force from me. And now, with whomsoever you find your Alahayam, these salted heads, he shall die. Now, he does specify here a man. He doesn't specify his wife. When later on, there is the Jephthah's, I can never pronounce his name, Jephthah's tragic vow. This comes from the book of Judges, chapter 11. And this one, he basically says, like, hey, if you're going to let me win this battle, anything that walks through that door, any living thing, I will kill it as a sacrifice. And lo and behold, sadly, his daughter walks right through, and he just realizes what he did, and he goes through it with it, and he kills his daughter. This is how serious people took their vows back then. And when James says, like, let your yes be no, and yes be yet, not let your yes be no. No, you don't want to do that. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. It's serious, guys. Like, when you say something, like, your vows are, it's important, right? And it's sad because we know that she died young. She dies soon after this in childbirth. I think that this is what happened here. He didn't really think through it. Yaakov, he really didn't think through this. He's like, my wife would not have done this to you. I haven't personally checked. I didn't even ask her. Maybe she lied. I don't really know. But I think that's why she died. And I think Yasher kind of explains that a little bit more. Oh, look, I don't have the passage in. I guess I don't have it. I was going to read to you from Testament of Solomon, where it talks about the stars. Let me scroll up here real quick and see if I put it here, because I want to talk about it now. I guess I don't. Okay, well, bummer. I actually did have it in there today, so I guess this is a earlier copy that we're reading from. So, long story short, to back up a second witness to these heads that would have these unclean spirits that would go up to you just have to take my word for it. You can read Testament of Solomon for yourself. They would go up to the firmament, up to the stars there. And we know, like in Ascension of Isaiah, that the unclean spirits, they want to ascend to the heights, but the highest they can go is the firmament. They can't get past it. And of course, the story is that the lower you humble yourself, the higher you're going to go, right? Which is something that Satan and his demons can't do. But they would go up there, and the sentence is brought forth amongst the stars. Think about that the next time you're stargazing, that the sentence of humanity, in fact, maybe your sentence, is being put forward. They will tell you about the fates the next day of things that are going to happen to people. And so these unclean spirits will go up there, they will listen in, they fall down sometimes like shooting stars if they try to stay up there too long, and they come down, or they'll just come down on their own. And they come down and they will give the fortunes that they heard to mankind. And this is where we get the fortune tellers and other things like that. And, the more you know, and knowing is half the battle. Let's continue reading. Now we're getting into tonight's Torah portions. Thank you, everybody, for your patience as we finished last week's meeting of Esau and Yaakov. I think this is a good moment for a little bit more coffee. I don't usually have time to go through all your comments, but I will add what Kyle did put here. Rachel doing that is he emphasized the so, like with a lot of O's, so gross. Dead, dried, shrunken heads. And, she's sitting on them too. It's her time of the month, and she's just, something about a bunch of dead. We don't even know how they died. Were they murdered? I mean, did these people really volunteer for the part? Maybe that's how they were immortalized. I don't really know. We don't know all the details, but yeah, it's pretty gross. I agree with you on that. 100% Kyle. And this was before Benjamin was born. We will see his birth tonight. Then Yaakov sent messengers before himself to his brother Esau at Mount Sha'ir. Now, this is one of the things I love too about Pamela's translation, that she doesn't cut out the L's and the owls. Other translations, they don't know what to do with that. It's like this little divine, mark there. And they're like, well, it can't be saying what we think it's saying, so we're going to leave it out. But pay attention to that in the Torah when it gives people like this kind of L or owl kind of identification. And he commanded them, saying, you shall say this to Adonijah Esau. Yaakov, your servant, says thus, I have lodged with Laban and stayed until now, and there are with me bullocks and asses and sheep and serving men and women. So I have sent to inform my Adon to find favor in your eyes. Man, he's just had to deal with his father-in-law, and now he's dealing with his twin brother. Don't you love family gatherings? This is great. I mean, it reminds me of this is like Thanksgiving, Christmas, just every year. For those of you who still keep it. When I used to keep it, this is what it was like, you go from one relative's house to the next. When the messengers returned to Yaakov, they reported, we went to your brother, to Esau, and he is also coming to call upon you, and 400 men with him. Yaakov consequently was very greatly afraid, and it distressed him. So he divided the people who were with him and the sheep and the cattle and the camels into 2 camps, because he said, if Esau comes to one camp and strikes it, then there will be the other to fly to. Makes sense. Wise words. Yaakov also said, Elohim of my father Abraham and Elohim of my father Yitzchak, Yahuwah, who said to me, return to the land of your birth, and I will be good to you. I am unworthy of all the mercies and of all the support which you have shown to me when I, your servant, passed over this torrent with my staff, and I am returning as 2 camps. Do you think there's any semblance here to Judah and Israel? I do. Judah, Levi, Benjamin versus the 10 tribes that were divorced coming into the land. It's 2 separate camps. Grant me a deliverance from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau, for I fear that he will come and cut off the mothers and with children. But you have said, supporting, I will support you, and I will make your race like the sand of the sea, which cannot be counted for quantity. So he rested there that night. Then he took presents in his hand, presents for his brother Esau, 100 goats and 20 he-goats, 100 sheep and 20 rams, 30 suckling camels with their fowls, 40 cows and 10 bulls, 20 she-asses and 10 asses. And he put them under the hands of servants separately, troop by troop, and said to his servants, go before me and spread a space between troop and troop. He also ordered the foremost, saying, if you meet Esau, my brother, and he asks you, who are you, and where are you going? And whose are these before you? You shall reply, from your servant, from Yaakov, a present he sends to Adonijah, to Esau. And look, also, he is behind us. It's kind of interesting that, remember now, I think it was 2 weeks ago, when Yaakov is going to get his bride, Esau sends one of his sons and his son's brother, as I assume many of his sons and other soldiers, to go kill Yaakov. They don't kill him because Yah turns them in his favor, but they strip him of everything. And so, you know, Yaakov is thinking here, best case scenario, that's what's going to happen again. Worst case scenario, he comes and kills me and everything. But I'm not like, I'm going back and I'm going to lose everything again. I'm going to arrive in the land without anything. So just here you go, Esau, here's a gift. Just take it. Just spare the women and children. I think that's what he's thinking. He ordered the second also with the third, with all the servants who followed after them, repeating, "You shall say the same words to Esau if he meets with you, and you shall also say to him, 'See, your servant Yaakov is behind us.' For he remarked, 'I will pacify him first by presents that I send to him, and afterwards I will see by his face whether I can stand before him.' Thus he sent presents over before him. But he himself stopped that night in the camp. However, he arose at night and took his 2 women and his second 2 women and his 11 lads and crossed the ford of Yabok, Yabuk, or Jabuk. So he took them and passed them over the brook and sent over all who were with him. Yaakov, however, was left alone by himself. And a man wrestled with him until the breaking of dawn. He saw, however, that he was not equal to him. So he touched him in the hollow of the thigh and struck the hollow of the thigh of Yaakov while wrestling with him. Then he said, 'Release me, for the darkness is going.' But he replied, 'I will not let you go unless you barak me.' And then he said, 'What is your name?' And he said, 'Yaakov.'" This is one of the scenes I love about the Old Testament. I remember in Sunday school back in the day as a kid, I'm like, my Sunday school teacher would teach this scene. I'm like, this is weird. Like the Bible is really weird. And, it's one of the things I love about it. It's like, it's a weird story, which is awesome, right? Then Yaakov asked and said, "Tell me your name." And he replied, "To what purpose do you ask my name?" But then he did Barak him there. Do you wonder if, so I think that most people will say, well, this is Yeshua. Maybe it was. Okay. I'm going to read you some text that implies that it wasn't. Um, I kind of read this here and think that this angel is actually trying to get information from him. He's like, "Who are you? Like you can actually like no one can fight with me like this. Like, who are you?" Almost like when Satan is in the wilderness trying to figure out who Yahshua truly is. Yaakov consequently called the name of that place Fanuya Al, that is Al's face, or the face of Allahayam. For I have seen Allahayam face to face and preserved my life. Interesting enough, by one text I'm going to read you tonight, it says that it's Uriel who he fought with, the angel Uriel, which I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys are free to correct me. I didn't check this up. I just thought about this right now. I think it actually means the face of God. So yeah, I think Uriel means the face of God. So that is where it's coming from, that he fought with Uriel the angel and not Yahshua. Though some have argued that Uriel might be Yahshua. Actually, I've seen that argument. And the sun arose on him as he crossed over from Phanuel, but he limped on his thigh. Therefore, the children of Yashrael do not eat the sinew nerve from the foot to the thigh until this day, for he struck Yaakov in the sinew nerve at the hollow of the thigh. Okay, so how are we doing on time? This scene right here in Jasher, it's pretty awesome. I'll probably just read little portions of it. Remember now he sent out 3 camps, and then he stayed back himself. So Esau, and I really do believe, I think that Esau really, some commentators may say differently. I think Esau was coming with the intent to kill him. I think he was going to finish him off once and for all, and his mind was changed. You know how Yahshua says, "You live by the sword, you die by the sword." I think that this is, I have observed in my own life. I have always thought, I know that there's a day that I'm going to die, right? It's kind of like a no dust. Someday Noel's going to die. It could be tonight, could be tomorrow, it could be 30 years from now, 40. I don't really know, 50 years from now. But I have always felt guarded and protected by Yahweh, even when I knew him as the Lord and, Yahshua is Jesus. I always felt protected. I always felt like I had guardian angels around me. I always felt that my fate was in his hands and that I couldn't add a moment to my life. I have been in situations, I'm so confident of this. I have been in some very hairy, sticky situations, and I have prayed for protection and watched some people who I thought were there for ill intent, malpractice, that were maybe evil or had wicked thoughts, malnourished thoughts, who I would watch the expression on their face change in front of me, and then they no longer desire to do me any harm or the people with me, and they left. And I know that that was either Yahweh or my guardian angels who were with me who did that, and I didn't have to lift a finger. It was just me being like, "Protect me, your servant, protect your servant," and it happened. So, so Yaakov ceases to pray to Yahweh, and he divided up the people that were with him, okay, into the camps. And then let's see, where is this? And Yahweh sent 3 angels of the angels of heaven, and they went before Esau and came to him. And these angels appeared unto Esau and his people as 2,000 men. Please do not let this pass you by tonight. Okay, let's just stop right now and discuss this. This is awesome. People don't think of guardian angels this way, as 3 angels as 2,000 men riding upon horses. So the horses are also the 3 angels, furnished with all sorts of war instruments, and they appeared in the sight of Esau and all his men to be divided into 4 camps with 4 chiefs to them. So clearly Esau is coming for ill intent, and these angels are like, the 3 angels might not have turned back Esau. He's like, okay, yeah, you look pretty tough. There's 3 of you. I think we can take you. But appearing in the thousands was pretty intimidating. Now, for those of you who went to the retreat last Passover 2025 in Arkansas, there was, I'm not going to go through the whole story, but if you were there, you know what I'm talking about. There was a moment when we thought there was a very clear possibility that an angel came up to us and relayed a message. It was just like the eeriest thing, so spot on. That individual knew for like the last few hours, all these conversations that were happening, exactly what was going on and what people were talking about. He had we must have been bugged or something, and he just comes up in a van. Now, I was one of the first, I think, to say, could it have been an angel? Well, people said, well, yeah, but he had like children. There were other people in the van. I'm like, so what? Like, and it's like, well, yeah, he was driving. So what? Like, what if the van was the angel too? See, some of you, like in post-Newtonian sense, you're going to laugh at this, but according to this, 3 angels were thousands of dude and horses with armor. So think about that, the way Yahweh functions, that it could be one entity disguised as a bunch. And isn't it amazing how when you read these old books, it really does come across like angels are just everywhere. They're out tilling a field. They're like, seriously, like working in a field. You just pass them by. Hey, how's it going? It's an angel. And they wave back at you. And, they're just, I don't know. They're walking the cities and on roads, and, they're Yitzhak's walking out of a field praying, and he's got an angel just hanging with him there. Some people can see him, maybe some people can't, but they seem to be really commonplace back then. Awesome. And I still think that they're all around us. I just think that it's almost like talking about fairies, like why we don't see fairies as much. You know how there's like an uptick of like Sasquatch sightings now? People used to not see them for a while, but now they are. There's an uptick of alien sightings, things like that. You have to wonder if they're all around us, and maybe we're going to start seeing them a little bit more. Maybe that's the next thing going to happen. Wouldn't that be awesome if it was? Well, enough of that. Let's keep moving on. You can read that story for yourself, homework assignment. But let's talk about Yashriel, the firstborn. This is a really crazy scene where he's wrestling with this angel. And this is what it says in Joseph's prayer. It's a very rare text. It appeared to be popular in the first century. We don't know. This is one of the things I love. The historians don't know if it was Jewish or Christian. It was probably both. And we don't even have the whole text. We just have pieces of it. But what we do have is pretty juicy. So this is what it says. And when I was coming up from Syrian Mesopotamia, Uriel, the angel of Elohim, came forth and said that I, Yaakov slash Yasharel, had descended to earth and I had tabernacled among men. So we're talking now about this angel is saying that Uriel is like, look, you pre-existed, you were in heaven with us, and you actually came down for this specific purpose, for a specific mission. And you guys know I've talked about this a lot, how like Noah and some of the others were, and I believe that we all pre-existed, but they were a certain class of highly ranked pre-existent spiritual entities that came down specifically to kind of set things right and help get the ship on course. And that I had been called by the name of Yaakov. He envied me and fought with me and wrestled with me, saying that his name and the name that is before every angel was to be above mine. I told him his name and what rank he held among the sons of Elohim. Are you not Uriel, the eighth after me? And this is why the angel is just astonished. Is like, man, like somebody finally that I can't beat. And I, Yasharel, the archangel of the power of Yahuwah and the chief captain among the sons of Elohim, am I not Yasharel, the first minister before the face of Elohim? So, according to these texts, and I think there's another one right here. Yeah, this is also from Yosef's prayer. Let me just go ahead and read these and I'll comment a little bit more on them. I, Yaakov, who is speaking to you, am also Yasharel, an angel of Elohim and a ruling ruach, ruling spirit. Abraham and Yitzchak were created before any work, but I, Yaakov, who men call Yaakov, but whose name is Yasharel, am he who Elohim called Yasharel, which means a man seeing Elohim, because I am the firstborn of every living thing to whom Elohim gives life. So, there's smoke that pipe, I guess. Try to figure that out. Kind of interesting. Now, I have more commentary on this to show that this is not necessarily a one-off, this idea. This comes from the shepherd of Hermes. Man, I've never done a study on this. It's just on my bucket list to do. One of these days, if I live long enough, I'll do a study on the shepherd of Hermes. Critical book. And this, in reply, I said to her, so Hermes contextually he's seeing this vision of this tower being built, which represents the church. By the way, the church did not start at it actually started at Pentecost, not the one most people think about in the book of Acts. It started at the first Pentecost. And this agrees with that statement. And he says, so he's speaking to this lady, the lady church. She is a real entity. And I think that she is somehow related to the daughter of Zion. I'm not going to go into who I think she truly is right now, but she is a real entity. But who are the 6 young men who are engaged in building? And she said, these are the holy angels of Elohim who were first created, and to whom Yahuwah handed over his whole creation, that they might increase and build up and rule over the whole creation. And then she also talks about these holy angels of Yahuwah, but she says, but the former 6 are more excellent than these. So they were, even though they lived their life on the earth, they were before the angels, they're greater than the angels. And we're going to read this later on in the Torah portions, Exodus 4:22, popular quote. People scratch their heads at this and they get all sorts of theological debates. And you shall say unto Pharaoh, thus says Yahuwah, Yasharel is my son, even my firstborn. So there you have that. Second Esdras says, again, it talks about, I think it's talking about Yasharel. Let's see. But we, your people, whom you have called your firstborn, your Yakid, your beloved son, and your fervent lover are given into their hands. Okay, well, let's just skip on. Let's keep going into that. Okay, this is what Paul says in the epistle of the Ephesians 1:4. According as he has chosen us in him before the foundation of the world. So that we should be holy and without blame before him in love, having predetermined us unto the adoption of children by Yahshua Messiah to himself. So a lot of people will look at, this predestination or predetermined things in different ways. This is a tug of war with me, guys. I don't have a solution on this, where free will versus predestination comes in. However, I'm sorry to say it. Well, I'm not sorry, but as much as some of you are going to just, be an angry camel and spit at me for saying this. I do think that there is a case for classical predestination versus the wheat versus the tares. That there are some people born into this world to be tares, explicitly to be tares, to be vessels of wrath, and there are people who were preordained to be Israel. And so you can see this here, that if there is a certain, this isn't just looking into the future and I say, well, these people are going to be born and they're going to be, whatever, they're going to be this and that. It's actually like, no. He goes to the souls before the foundation of the earth and says, you are my firstborn. You are Yasharel. You're not going to be born for thousands of years from now, but you're included in my firstborn. Romans 8:28-30 says this, and we know that all things work together for good to them that love Elohim, to them who are the called according to his purpose, for whom he did foreknow, right? So he would have foreknown us if we are included. Not just like, in like some sort of syrupy Hallmark metaphorical way or looking into the future, but I think that he really knew us, like physically us in the present time, but before the foundation of the world. He also did predetermine to be conformed to the image of his son, that he might be the firstborn among many brethren. Assumption of Moses says this, where Moses, he's talking about himself, for he has created the world on behalf of his people, right? So this is, the context here is Israel, Yasharel, for the firstborn of creation. For Israel, the world was created, not for the tares. Why are they here? That's the whole like meaning of life, conversation to have, the wheat and the tares and the great contest and all that. Not going into that right now. Accordingly, he designed and advised me. He's talking Moses, saying me, Moses, and he prepared me before the foundation of the world that I should be the mediator of his covenant. So you can see right here, this wasn't a later decision where Yah's like, Moses, I've been watching you and, you've been living a pretty good life. So how do you feel about the job of being the mediator of my covenant for Yasharel? He's like, no. Look, Moses, like the world hasn't been created yet. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to be sending you on this special mission at this appointed time. You're going to go into the earth. You're not going to remember any of this discussion we had, but you're going to go into the earth. You're going to have a special mission and you're going to fulfill this. This is, of course, the whole preexistence discussion. Matthew 25:34 says, then shall the king say unto them on the right hand, come ye blessed of my father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. And here in Revelation 21:14, something, that always kind of really tripped me out the first time I noticed this, that there's the 12 gates. We all know about the 12 gates, and these 12 gates are for the tribes of the children of Yasharel. So, people who tell me there is no 13th gate. Okay. So people who tell me, I'm not Israel. I'm like, okay, well, which gate are you going to enter? Because apparently, this is stumped. I have yet to have anybody come back and they just stumped like, what? And they know what I'm talking about. And like, what are you? Naphtali, Dan, Issachar. I don't actually know if Dan's one of the gates. I'd have to check. But Reuben, Judah, Levi, like whatever, Manasseh, Ephraim. You go down the list. It's like, which one are you? Because now I'm telling anyone out there, I'm just, I guess by default, I'll go to Ephraim, maybe Manasseh, probably Ephraim, unless if somebody's like, hey, no, you're actually, you're, I don't know, you're whatever, Benjamin or whatever, you're Reuben, whatever. I'll be like, cool. All right. And I'll go over there. But the thing is, though, is that there are 12 foundations. The 12 foundations have the name of the apostles. Now, this is interesting because I would think, I've never built a building in my life. I am not an architect. I confess that. But I would imagine that if I were to draw up blueprints and get funded to like build a shopping mall or something, a church or whatever, some sort of public building, that I would put the foundations down first, right? You don't build the roof first, you build the foundations, and the apostles are there before the children of Yasharel on the gates. Kind of interesting. So that just speaks to more of, a little preexistence there. All right. Yaakov wrestles with the angel. This comes from the legends of the Jews. The servants of Yaakov went before him with the present for Esau, and he followed with his wives and his children. As he was about to pass over the ford of Jabbok, he observed a shepherd who likewise had sheep and camels. This is a really interesting scene that happens here. The stranger approached Yaakov and proposed that they should ford the stream together and help each other move their cattle over. And Yaakov assented on the condition that his possessions should be put across first. In the twinkling of an eye, Yaakov's sheep were transferred to the other side of the stream by the shepherd. Then the flocks of the shepherd were to be moved by Yaakov, but no matter how many he took over to the opposite bank, always there remained some on the hither shore. It sounds like a bad dream. You're like trapped in a dream and you're trying to get out of it. There was no end to the cattle, though Yaakov labored all the night through. At last he lost patience, and he fell upon the shepherd and caught him by the throat, crying out, "Oh, thou wizard, thou wizard! At night no enchantment succeeds." The angel thought, "Very well, let him know once for all with whom he has had dealings." And with his finger he touched the earth, whence fire burst forth. But Yaakov said, "What? Thou thinkest thus to affright me, who am made holy of fire?" So the angel's like, I'm going to teach this kid a lesson. Um, and he's surprised that he's not, afraid of him. The shepherd was no less a personage than the archangel Michael. Okay, so here we see a variant right here. We read Uriel, now we're seeing Michael. All right, so just take that for what it is. It's kind of interesting too that some people, I don't argue, but some people will argue that Michael is also Yahshua. That's just an argument some people have. Take it with them. Just want to point that out. And in his combat with Yaakov, he was assisted by the whole host of angels under his command. He was on the point of inflicting a dangerous wound upon Yaakov when God appeared, and all the angels, even Michael himself, felt their strength ooze away. Seeing that he could not prevail against Yaakov, the archangel touched the hollow of his thighs and injured him. And God rebuked him, saying, "Dost thou act as is seemly when thou causest a blemish in my priest Yaakov?" This is great, by the way, because this is getting to like Jewish kind of understanding and maybe even Hebrew understanding that I say this week after week, that the Protestants, and I didn't grow up Catholic or Orthodox, so I'm not quite sure how they picture it, but Protestants, they picture angels as these perfect, robotic, righteous people, kind of like how they think we're going to be, and they don't feel like emotion. They're not, but here, like, they're jealous and they can get wrathful and they can get vengeful. I mean, I could show you early Christian texts, like the Gospel of Bartholomew, same thing, where like a wrathful angel comes down, and the only reason the curtain gets torn in two in the temple is because he wants to do everybody. He just wants to kill everybody. He is so upset that they're crucifying Messiah, and he's like, "I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to kill everybody," and he has to be stopped. So these angels, they can be, they feel real emotion and they can act out on it. It's not just this boring, like mannequin or cardboard cutout that you see in Christian modern literature and thinking. God rebuked him, saying, "Does thou act as is seemly when thou causest a blemish in my priest Yaakov?" And Michael said in astonishment, "Why, it is I who am the priest." What are you talking about? How is he? I'm the priest. Are you firing me? What's going on? But God said, "Thou art my priest in heaven, and he is my priest on earth." Thereupon Michael summoned the archangel Raphael. It's getting the other Ninja Turtles, saying, "My comrade, I pray thee, help me out of my distress, for thou art changed with the healing of all disease." And Raphael cured Yaakov of the injury Michael had inflicted. The Lord continued to reproach Michael, saying, "Why did thou do harm unto my firstborn son?" And the archangel answered, "I did it only to glorify thee." And then God appointed Michael as the guardian angel of Yaakov and his seed unto the end of all generations with these words, "Thou art a fire, and so is Yaakov a fire. Thou art the head of the angels, and he is the head of the nations. Thou art supreme over all the angels, and he is supreme over all the peoples. Therefore, he who is supreme over all the angels shall be appointed unto him who is supreme over all the peoples, that he may entreat mercy for him from the supreme one over all." Did he just owe him a life debt? I think that's what happened. You ever watch like like Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, one of my favorites, and the Saracen character, played by Morgan Freeman, he owes Robin Hood a life debt, right? It kind of feels that way. Like he's like, okay, you've got some issues with Yaakov. Apparently, you're gonna have to work it out, because I am now appointing you not only as his guardian angel, you're going to be serving him, but all of his children as well, everyone from Israel. Then Michael said unto Yaakov, how is it possible that thou could prevail against me, the most distinguished of the angels, and yet you're afraid of Esau? Well, there's a riddle for you. When the day broke, Michael said to Yaakov, let me go, for the day breaketh. But Yaakov held him back, saying, art thou a thief or a gambler with dice, that thou fearest the daylight? At that moment appeared many different hosts of angels, and they called unto Michael, ascend, O Michael, the time of song hath come, and if thou art not in heaven to lead the choir, none will sing. Well, that's kind of interesting, huh? I'm not covering tonight the different hours of heaven. I've said this many times, that when the cock crows at morning, when the at sunrise, that's when the gates of heaven do open, and the prayers ascend. And so it's kind of interesting that Michael needed to be there for that. We see more about the angels who betrayed. Okay, well, that's good for that. Let's just keep moving on. A few little nuggets from there, but we need to keep moving on tonight. Yaakov and Esau meet. Hope you're all doing good tonight. Let me just look at your comments real quick. Yes, Lisa, that is what I'm saying. Are you saying that angels are not cute little cherubs? That's a true statement. Actually, that's a whole different discussion. Did you know I actually wanted to write that paper this year? I did a lot of research on the cherub angels, and it's a kind of a sad kind of story that kind of relates to Pizzagate. Interesting enough, cherub angels, they were non-existent guys in the Middle Ages, starting around 500 up to 1500. No cherub angels. Before 500, you see cherub angels. After 1500, they re-emerged. Kind of interesting. And here, Eagle Watch 333 says, "Can you trust Moses?" It's kind of a good question, because he says he used a stick to find water, and that's witchcraft, right? You can't trust somebody apparently who has the skills to find water with a stick, and it does actually happen. But there are people out there in the greater community who will say that anyone who tries to find water with a fork or whatever it is, whatever the tuning fork is, they are practicing witchcraft. I say that sarcastically, because obviously it's not. Let's keep reading. So the 400 men, did I read that Esau approached and 400 men with him? So he separated the children of Leah and of Rachel and of the two secondary women, and placed the secondary women and their children in the front, and Leah and her children next, and Rachel, who he loved. Well, it's Yosef, but Wasaf, just say Yosef, behind. Oh, already, the other brothers are just like, oh, that Joseph. He didn't even get the color, the coat of many colors yet, but already he's like that little mama's boy. Just send us all off to die, Dad. And we get it. He's probably going to come up here and spy on us. It's probably already, the sibling rivalry is already starting. But he passed to the front of them and bowed to the earth 7 times while approaching his brother. And Esau rushed forwards and called to him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him and wept over him. Then he lifted his eyes and saw the women and children and asked, who are these with you? And he replied, the children which Elohim has given me, your servant. So he asked, what is all this camp with you which approached me? And when he replied, to find favor in the eyes of my Adon, Esau, however, answered, I have plenty, my brother. Let your own remain to yourself. So I don't think either of them expected it to go this way today at all. But Yaakov said, not so. If now I have found favor in your eyes, take a present from my hand, for certainly I have seen your face, as if I had seen the face of Elohim. Isn't that interesting with Uriel? You just saw the angel, the face of Elohim, and now Esau is saying that about his brother Yaakov, and am delighted. Now do take the things which I have brought to you, for Elohim has favored me, and because there is plenty for me as well. So he pressed him until he took them. And then he said, I will rise up and travel, and we will go along together. But he answered him, my Adon knows that the children are many, and the sheep and the cattle with me are breeding. So if we drive them a single day, then all the sheep will die. But let Adonai now go before me, and I will be traveling at my ease according to the pace of the guide before me and the pace of the children until I come to my Adon at Seir or Shayar. But Ashal said, I will then assign to you some of the people who are with me. And he replied, why have I found this favor in the eyes of my Adon? So Ashal returned that day on his journey to Shayar. But Yaakov pitched his tent and built himself a house and cattle yards, making an encampment. Therefore, he called the name of the place Succoth. Afterwards, Yaakov went quietly to the village of Shalom, a city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan, on his return from Padam Aram, and encamped before the village and bought the part of the land where he pitched his tent from the hand of the son of Hamor, the father of Shechem, for 100. This would be in the KJV would say 100 pieces of money, but 100 kushe yataha, and also built an altar there and called on the name Al Allah Yasharel. All right, well, let's keep reading through this. Shechem's outrage on Dinah. But it happened that Dinah, the daughter of Leah, whom she bore to Yaakov, went out to visit the women of the country. So in Joshua, we'll read that there was a festival. It was like a ladies' festival. They were all invited in, and of course, and sadly, the predators were out seeking out the women at this place. And Shechem, the son of Hamor, the chief of the country, saw and seized her and violated her and disgraced her. But his nafash clung to Dinah. Now, the thing is that, usually, and I could probably pull up passages or different passages like this, that in situations like, first of all, if you're going to violate a woman like that, it's clearly not done out of like love, like real romantic love. It's done out of lust. And in those situations, when you lust after someone like that, the likelihood is that you're going to hate them afterwards. But it is interesting here that he did cling to her afterwards. If I'm not mistaken, for those of you who ever watched soap operas, that was like the relationship with Luke and Leia. I learned this through Hunter Tylo talking to her, that the apparently, I remember Luke and Leia, but I didn't realize that he raped her, and then I guess she fell in love with him afterwards, which was really, disgusting that the soap operas are pushing that. It's like the most romantic, I guess, relationship in soap history. Anyways, he clings, his Nefash clings to her, the daughter of Yaakov, and he loved the girl and spoke to the girl's heart. So Shechem spoke to Hamor, his father, commanding, "Get me this girl for a woman." I mean, it's just too bad he just didn't do that first, right? He sees this beautiful woman and he starts asking around, like, who is that woman? I mean, who's the father? Okay, I'm gonna go talk to my dad, and we'll like work something out and put an offer out there. So many regrets in life, I'm sure, for Hamor and Shechem. Yaakov, however, heard that he had defiled his daughter Dinah, but his sons were at the fold in the fields. So Yaakov kept silent until their return. Then Hamor, the father of Shechem, came to Yaakov to speak to him. But the sons of Yaakov returned from the field upon hearing it, and the men were grieved and very angry at it for what he had done in Yasharel and violating the daughter of Yaakov, which ought not to be done. But Hamor spoke to them, declaring, "My son Shechem is attached by his Nefash to your daughter. Therefore, give her to him for a woman, and you can give your girls to us, and we can give ours to you to take for yourselves, and you can dwell among us, and the land shall be before you, reside and travel about and possess it." Now, here's the thing. He already possessed the land. He already bought the land, all right? So he's on his land. And so now he's just trying to make it out like he's getting the sweet deal here. He's like, we'll give you our women, and you can deal peaceably amongst us. And it's like the only lack of shalom here is the fact that his son went and raped this guy's daughter. Like the lack of peace is not on them, meaning on Yasharel and his sons. You dig? So it's really interesting how, you see that the art of the deal here going on with these ancients and always trying to push it in their favor. And anyways, then Shechem said to her father and her brothers, "Let me find favor in your eyes, and whatever you ask of me, I will give it. Heap upon me a great dowry and settlement, and I will give whatever you say to me. Only give me the girl for a woman." Then the sons of Yaakov answered Shechem and Hamor his father deceitfully, because they said, "He has corrupted our sister Dinah." So they replied, "We are unable to do such a thing as to give our sister to an uncircumcised man, for that would be a reproach to us. Yet if you will agree with us that, like us, every male of you should be circumcised, then we will give our daughters to you, and we will take your daughters to us, and we will reside with you and be one people. But if you will not listen to us, then we will take our sister and depart." And the idea was good in the eyes of Shechem, the son of Hamor. So the youth did not delay to do the same, for he had an affection for the daughter of Yaakov, and he was the heaviest with splendor of all his father's house. So Hamor and Shechem his son went to the gate of the village and addressed the men of their town, saying, "These men are peaceable with us. Therefore, allow them to travel in it. For behold, the land lies open to their hands and before their faces." Again, I don't get it, because they were already traveling in the land. They were already living there. They had a well and everything. The women were already traveling in their festivals. "We would wish to take their daughters to us for women and give our daughters to them. However, the men will only unite with us in this way, to reside with us and to be one people by our circumcising every male of us as they are circumcised. Their herds and possessions and all they have, will they not be ours if we agree with them and they reside with us?" This reminds me of the Meatloaf song, "I would do anything for love, but I won't do that." Apparently, Shechem would do that. He would do anything for love and that. And he convinced everybody else in the village to do it as well. All who sat in the gate of the village listened, therefore, to Hamor and Shechem his son, and they circumcised every male who came to the gates of the town. This would be a good time, I think, to be on a business trip while this went on. But on the third day, when they were in pain, this is not the first time we have seen the third day in this Torah portion. Hold on, while I pour myself a little bit more cup of joe. So on the third day, when they were in pain, Simon and Levi, or Shammah, Wan, and Lawaya, the two sons of Yaakov, brothers of Nuha, each took his sword and went into the village quietly and slew every male. They also slew, I guess, there's a saying, "Don't kick a dog while he's down," but this is, I don't know, they need to come up with a saying for this one, because this goes beyond kicking a dog while he's down. They also slew Hamor and his son Shechem with the edge of the sword, and took Dinah from the house of Shechem and went away. Then the sons of Yaakov came on the booty and plundered the town, which had defiled their sister. They took the sheep, the cattle, the asses, and the wealth in the village and the wealth in the field, and captured their youths and little children and women, and plundered all the furnishings in the houses. Can you imagine? I can't even imagine something like this happening today. I mean, this sounds like I don't know, like a movie from the, I don't know, 70s or 80s or something like that. Like an action hero goes and takes that, or maybe like a samurai film from Japan. But can you imagine if like people of the book, right? If like people of the Torah could actually take like justice out, like, someone defiles your daughter and you go and you just like, okay, fine. You know what? We can't trust the judges. We can't trust the police. So we'll just go and just wipe them out. I can't even imagine what would happen in the tabloids, in the newspapers. I mean, it would almost be like people would think that like you're supposed to just, a holy righteous man would just lay down and allow this, to happen. But Yaakov said to Simon and to Levi, "You have stirred up trouble for me. You have made me to have a noxious smell to the inhabitants of the land, to the Canaanites and the Perizzites, or the Perizziah. And I, being few in number, they will outnumber me and will smite me and destroy me in my house." They, however, answered, "Ought they to use our sister as a harlot?" And this is great. So So, I mean, I love this answer right here. They're basically like, look, Dad, like the it's not about evaluating our chances, like basing morality and how we act out morality based on the outcome of whether we live or die. The fact is that morality is morality, and they have done this. They have treated our sister as a harlot. So it's not a matter of us living or dying. We are going to do this to actually bring back, honor to our sister, what honor we can. And we will, of course, the long story here, which we're not going to cover tonight, is that she actually does have a child through this rape, and that this child is sent off and raised in Egypt and becomes Joseph's wife later on, Asenath. And then we come around full circle because then Dinah is honored. People say all the time, well, Dinah wasn't honored, and why it's just, there's no matriarch. Actually, there is a matriarch. I believe that Joseph got the double portion of Ephraim and Manasseh because of Dinah. So it's Dinah and Joseph, they get Manasseh and Ephraim. And, the story, it is interesting too, right? Because she's a child of rape, Asenath, through a Canaanite. I think he's a Canaanite. At least it was in Canaan. And so the promise of the Gentiles coming into salvation is through Ephraim. So that's not a coincidence at all. All right, let's start reading Yashar, see how much we get through this 33 through 35. And, Yitzhak's concerns, Yaakov's concerns were accurate. He's like, like, you did this to this town. Other people are going to hear about it. They're coming for blood. And what are we going to do? And the book of Jasher, I never have time for it in these Torah portions, but it's epic. And it goes on for chapter after chapter. And they are just like these brothers. It's not all 12 because Joseph stays back. And of course, Benjamin at some point is born and he's a baby. These 11 brothers, they're just going and just like, this would be like a Braveheart type of like 3-hour epic. Just this alone, starting with the rape of Dinah and then going into the rest where they just go take out town after like castle after castle after castle. And they're just going and just wiping everybody out as they come and attack them. It's really fascinating. And then sometime after Yaakov went away from the borders of the land and he came to the land of Salem, that is the city of Shechem, which is the land of Canaan, and he rested in front of the city. And he brought a parcel of the field, which is there. That's important. Let's not overlook that when Shechem's father is trying to make out some sort of sweet deal, which they already had, from the children of Hamor, the people of the land, for 5 shekels. Let's just skip ahead here. At that time, some of the women of the inhabitants of the land went to the city of Shechem to dance and rejoice with the daughters of the people of the city. And when they went forth, then Rachel and Leah, the women of Yaakov with their families, also went to behold the rejoicing of the daughters of the city. So you can see it. It's a big women's festival here. That's pagan. They went into, guys, they went to a pagan dance festival that wasn't one of the high Sabbath days. I say that to be a little facetious, but I just want to point out, you actually see it happening in scripture a lot more than is made out. When you get into the Torah circles and they're like, everything is pagan, we just keep the high Sabbaths, and it's like, okay, well, I don't know. Yaakov's, yes, I get it. She got raped there. It was horrible. But I don't see anything that's condemning the fact that these girls, just like the Cyndi Lauper song, just wanted to have some fun. They wanted to go out and have some fun. We were not going to say that, girls can't have fun because there's some naughty rapists out there. That would be a ridiculous conclusion to come to. It's pagan. And Dinah, the daughter of Yaakov, also went along with them and saw the daughters of the city. And they remained there before these daughters while all the people of the city were standing by them to behold the rejoicings. And all the great people of the city were there. And Shechem, the son of Hamor, the prince of the land, was also standing there to see them. So he actually does start asking around about her. He says he goes around asking friends and saying, whose daughter is that sitting among the women whom I do not know in this city? And they said unto him, surely this is the daughter of Yaakov, the son of Yitzhak, who has dwelt in the city for some time. So now so he acts on this now. He doesn't go ask Yaakov, right? So according to the book of Jasher, he knows whose daughter it is first. So now you're seeing that when his father goes and tries to strike a deal, it's like, well, come on, you give her over, we'll live in peace. that's kind of a slap. It is a slap in the face right there, right? So according to Shechem, he valued these Hebrews so little. He's like, yeah, he's not worth even going to this father and talking to him. I'm just going to take her for myself. He takes her by force. Okay. Um, let's just skip it here. Skip ahead. And when they came, Shechem went out to them with his men. So this is okay. And they came and told the thing unto Jacob. And when Jacob heard that Shechem had defiled his daughter Dinah, Jacob sent 12 of his servants to fetch Dinah from the house of Shechem. And they went and came to the house of Shechem to take away Dinah from there. And when they came, Shechem went out to them with his men and drove them from his house, and he would not suffer them to come before Dinah. But get this, but Shechem was sitting with Dinah, kissing and embracing her before their eyes. I imagine him here like Pepe Le Pew or something like that, or he's like some like French villain. I imagine with like a stash, and he's like just kissing her arm, and they're just getting just fuming looking at this. So here he's being completely completely disrespecting what he did to her and her honor. So they go up back and they tell. Let's see here. Let's skip this for lack of time. The sounds of silence. All right, so they're going through and they're getting them to circumcise themselves. All right, and they're still circumcising themselves. They're having a long talk about it, and they're making the condition. All right, and on the next day, Shechem and his father rose up early in the morning, and they assembled all the men of their city into the middle of the city, and they called for the sons of Yaakov, who circumcised every male belonging to them on that day and the next. Now that's kind of messed up. It's not that the very people who came and killed them afterwards were the ones who circumcised them. It wasn't that Shechem's men circumcised each other. They let the sons of Yaakov come and do it. And they circumcised Shechem and Hamor, his father, and the 5 brothers of Shechem. And then everyone rose up and went home. I mean, could they even do that? Could they even I don't know how they rise up. It's more like maybe they crawl home or somebody wheels them home. I don't really know. For this thing was from Yahweh against the city of Shechem. And from Yahweh was Simon counsel in the matter, in order that Yahweh might deliver the city of Shechem into the hands of Yaakov's 2 sons. And the number of all the males that were circumcised were 645 men and 246 children. But a guy named Hiddekim, son of Pered, the father of Hamor, Hamor, and his 6 brothers would not listen unto Shechem and his father, and they would not be circumcised. For the proposal of the sons of Yaakov was loathsome in their sight, and their anger was greatly roused at this, that the people of the city had not hearkened to them. And in the evening of the second day, they found 8 small children who had not been circumcised, for their mothers had concealed them from Shechem and his father and from the men of the city. And Shechem and his father Hamor sent to have them brought before them to be circumcised, when Hiddekim and his 6 brothers sprang at them with their swords and sought to slay them. And they sought to slay also Shechem and his father, and they sought to slay Dinah with them on account of this matter. And they said unto them, what is this thing that you have done? Are there no women among the daughters of your brother that the Canaan or the Canaanites that you wish to take unto yourselves daughters of the Abarah or the Hebrews, whom ye knew not before, and will do this act with your fathers never commanded you? Do you imagine that you will succeed through this act which you have done? And what will you answer in this affair to your brother and the Canaanites, who will come tomorrow and ask you concerning this thing? And if your act shall not appear just and good in their sight, what will you do for your lives, and me for our lives, in your not having hearkened to our voices? And if the inhabitants of the land and all your brother and the children of Ham shall hear of your act, saying, on account of the Hebrew woman or the Abarah woman did Shechem and Hamor his father and all the inhabitants of their city do that which they had been unacquainted, and which their ancestors never commanded them, where then will you fly, or where conceal your shame all your days before your brethren, the inhabitants of the land of Canaan? Now, therefore, we cannot bear up against this thing which you have done, neither can we be burdened with this yoke upon you, which our ancestors did not command us. Behold, tomorrow we will go and assemble all our brethren, the Canaanite brethren who dwell in the land, and will all come and smite you and all those who trust you, that there shall not be a remnant left from you or them. And when Hamor and his son Shechem and all the people of the city heard the words of Hiddekim and his brothers, they were terribly afraid of their lives at their words, and they repented of what they had done. And Shechem and his father Hamor answered their father and his brethren, and they said unto them, all the words which you spoke unto us are true. Now do not say nor imagine in your hearts that on account of the love of the Hebrew we did this thing that our ancestors did not command us. But because we saw that it was not their intention and desire to accede to our wishes concerning their daughters, to our taking her except on this condition, so we hearkened to their voices and did this act which you saw in order to obtain our desire from them. Now, I'm just going to throw this out there. I mean, this is a very elongated, passage. But why is it even in, canon to begin with? I suggest to you that this is basically telling you that circumcising yourself or being circumcised will not save you. Yes, it is one of the commands. But as Yahweh pointed out all throughout the Torah, as we're going to see, and as Paul pointed out time and again, that you can actually Barnabas talks about this in his letter. He's like, look, the Ishmaelites and the Egyptians, by the way, they circumcise themselves. They're not the people of the covenant. Just because you're circumcised does not mean you're the people of the covenant. You cannot circumcise yourself. There's only one person who can circumcise you. It is Yahweh. He says so throughout the Torah that I, as in he, Yahweh, I want to circumcise you. I, stop being stiff-necked people. I want to do this. I alone can do this. And physical circumcision is a physical sign of the mark that is on our heart. Meaning, and this is why this is what people mistake, because Paul's like, I'm not going to circumcise this guy yet. And the church is like, see, you don't have to be circumcised. No, Paul is saying, look, we can't force circumcision on people just like this to enter a covenant of relationship of marriage. It's like, no. We circumcise, we let God do it, we let Yah do it, and then it will follow afterwards. I think that's what this story is all about. Okay, so let me just skip ahead here because this kind of goes on and on and on. Anyways, it says here, Simon and Levi slew all the city. They left not a male remaining in the whole city, and they slew Hamor and Shechem, his son, at the edge of the sword, and they brought away Dinah from the house of Shechem, and they went from there. I actually skipped the part where Dinah's overhearing stuff, and she's sending spies out, and they're actually communicating with the brothers while this is going on, that there is kind of mutiny in the city. And the sons of Yaakov went to return and came upon the slain and spoiled all their property, which is in the city and the field. And while they were taking the spoil, 300 men stood up and threw dust at them and struck them with stones. When Simon turned to them, and he slew them all with the edge of the sword. And Simon turned before Lahwaya or Levi and came into the city. And they took away their sheep and their oxen and their cattle, and also the remainder of the women and little ones. And they led all these away, and they opened the gate and went out and came unto their father Yaakov with vigor. Now, again, this goes on and on and on. I don't even know why I put this in because I don't have time for it tonight. Apologies. I wish I could. You see how long this is. I think you guys got the drift. Oh, look, it goes on to chapter 35. So what happens is that, their father's really upset, and he's like, what did you do to me? And they're like, look, man, father, what they did was wrong. Straight up. It was wrong. And so we did what was right, regardless. And so then these other kings rise up, and it's just battle after battle after battle. It gets pretty epic. I still don't think I have it all in here. But anyways, let's keep reading so we get through all the Torah portions tonight. We're coming up towards the end. Elohim afterwards said to Yaakov, arise, go to Bethel and reside, and make there an altar to your Elohiah, who appeared to you in your flight from your brother Esau. So Yaakov commanded to his family. This is just blows my mind right here. and all who were with him depart from the Alahaya Nukar, the foreign gods, which are among you. So it's amongst his wives, his children, and their servants. Now it could be, to be fair, it could be just because they took some of the women and children out from Shechem, and they are carrying their gods and their traditions with them. So Yaakov's like, look, you're in my family now. I'm taking care of you. Let's cleanse out the gods that just came in. That could be what's happening. And we will go to Bethel, and I will there build an altar to the Elohim who pitied me in the time of my distress and was with me in the journey that I went. They therefore gave to Yaakov all the Alahaya Nuhar which were in their hands, and the earrings that were in their ears. And Yaakov buried them under the oak which was near Shechem. Of course, we know where Shechem is. Wouldn't that have been, really awesome? If the well is there that Yahshua spoke to the woman at. You can go visit it. Wouldn't that have been really awesome if they were digging and they found this whole pile up of gods or something like that, and it actually testified to this passage that actually Yaakov and his sons literally put them in there. Then they marched, and a terror from Elohim was upon their neighbors, and they did not pursue after the sons of Yaakov. So Yaakov came to Luz in the land of Canaan. It is Bethel, and his people were with him. He also built an altar there and called the house of Elohim Bethel, for there Elohim appeared to him in the flight from the face of his brother. But Deborah, the nurse of Rabakuha, died, and he buried her between Bethel and Alion, and called the name of the place Oak of Weeping. Elohim also appeared another time to Yaakov on his return from Padam Aram, and spoke with him, at which time Elohim said to him, your name shall no longer be called Yaakov, for Yasharel shall be your name. So he called his name Yasharel, and Elohim said to him, I am Al Shaddai. Be fruitful and multiply. A nation and an assembly of people shall come from you, and kings shall proceed from your loins. And the land which I gave to Abraham and Yitzchak I will give to you, and the same land I will give to you and your seed after you. Notice he just said the kings will come from his loins. And I don't think he's just talking about the kings of Judah here. I know that the line of kings did go to Judah. I think he's talking about the kings of the greater commonwealth of Israel. And I hear this time and again in the Torah movement, that I don't serve any king. I just serve the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And they always forget the part there that he is the King of Kings. It is literally giving credence to that there are other kings, right? Now, there are other lords, there are other kings. They are put here on this earth. I feel like somebody needs to sit to hear that. I see that within the Torah camp, there's a lot of animosity towards leadership, towards authority, because everyone is their own authority. Everyone does what's right in their own eyes. And yet we'll see that, Moses was authority. He set up other authorities, and it was actually really the first, I guess, democracy, because they were, people would set up ambassadors for them to represent them. And I know that we're all jaded today with, just the Illuminati and the Freemasons and the Jesuits and all the infiltrators and the Zionists, and just goes on and on and on, and who's paying lip service and who's owned by who. Nevertheless, we just remember that the promise was that there would be kings through him, and that we do have authorities over us. Make of that what you will. I think a lot of us are kind of reprocessing that again. That is to say that I don't believe that there is that. I actually believe that it is in Yah's will for kings. Now, we could talk about the whole account where, Israel wanted kings over them, and Yahweh is like, no, I'm your, they didn't want him anymore. I get that. I totally understand that. Nevertheless, Yahshua is King of Kings, and he places kings under him. Then Elohim went up from him from the place where he spoke with him. So Yaakov erected a pillar at the place where he had spoken with him, a pillar of stone, and poured a libation upon it, and poured oil upon it. Yaakov also called the name of that place where Elohim spoke with him Beth El. He afterwards marched from there and had gone some distance into the country toward Ephrathah. When Rachel was taken in labor, this is a sad part. She was taken in labor, and the childing went hard with her. But when she was delivered with labor, the midwife said to her, "Be not downhearted, for this child is a son." But in the lifting up of her nephash, for she was dying, she called out his name, "Son of my anguish." I guess in the King James over there, it's Benoni, child of my anguish. But his father called him Benjamin, or Benu Yamayan, son of my right hand. So Rachel died, and they buried her on the path to Ephrathuha, which is near Bethlehem, Beth Lechem. And Yaakov erected a pillar over her tomb. Then Yasharel marched from there and pitched his tent at the encampment of Megiddo Adar. And it was while Yasharel resided in that country that Laban or Reuben walked and laid down with Belahaha, his father's paramour. I love that Pamela put that in there, his father's paramour. And Yasharel heard of it. I wish I could had time tonight to read to you from the Testament of Reuben. Alas, I do not. These are the 12 sons of Yaakov, the firstborn by Leah to Yaakov, Reuben, then Simon, then Levi or Lahwaya, then this would be Issachar or Judah or Yahawada and Yeshachar and Zebulun, the sons of Rachel, Yosef and Benu Yamayan, and the sons of Belahaha, the maidservant of Rachel, were Dan and Naphtali, and the sons of Zelabhaha, the maidservant of Leah, were Gad and Asher. These are the sons of Yaakov who were born to him in Padam Aram. Yaakov afterwards went to his father Yitzchak at Mamaraz, near city of Arabah, where Abraham and Yitzchak dwelt. And the days of Yitzchak were 180 years. Then Yitzchak breathed out his life and died and was added to his people, old and satisfied with years. And Esau and Yaakov, his sons, buried him. That's another passage in Joshua I wish I was reading from tonight. I think this is the last time that Esau and Yaakov ever see each other. Like, you go to the funeral, right? And it's like, okay, bye. The patriarch's gone. We don't got anything holding us together. Esau obviously wasn't a lover he wasn't really a mama's boy. I am assuming Rivka is still alive at this time. So there's that. So I think we're close to ending tonight. I want to talk about doppelgangers. And this is one of those passages where it comes up. Now, this is a passage I'm reading to you from the Testament of Isaac. So what is a doppelganger? A doppelganger is it's basically your spiritual counterpart, right? The New Agers might say on a higher, spiritual plane or whatever. But the idea is that you have a angel out there who is your other half. I've heard also doppelgangers can be, there's been theories out there in the past that you have a doppelganger in like another realm, like another dimension. And this is where you get into kind of multiverse. I kind of wonder about this. And I wonder if this is actually the mystery of identical twins, something to think about. But here's what it says. Like maybe like you have like two twins in the same the doppelganger is actually in the same dimension. But we get into I need to develop this more because I see so much out there within the conspiratorial world about them making a big deal about doppelgangers. And I see all this, talk of like time travel and different ages or like maybe actors putting on different roles. And I never see talk of this anymore. Like this is like a lost understanding of spiritual counterparts, that there is such a thing as doppelgangers. Now it came to pass when the time had come for the patriarch Yitzchak to go forth from the body. We just read that. Elohim sent to him the angel of his father Abraham at dawn on the 22nd of Mizor. So this is Abraham's guardian angel coming to see Abraham's son. He said to him, "Hail, son of promise." Now it was the daily custom of the righteous old man Yitzchak to converse with the angels. And we know this because that was what Rivka saw. The first time she saw him hanging out with an angel in the field. He lifted his face up to the face of the angel. He saw him assuming the likeness of his father Abraham, right? So he looks up at this angel and he's like, "Are you my father Abraham?" And he's not. Just give you the surprise ending. He's not. And he opened his mouth and raised his voice and cried out in great joy, "I have seen your face like someone who has seen the face of Elohim." The angel said to him, "Listen, my beloved Yitzchak, I have been sent for you by Elohim to take you to the heavens and set you beside your father Abraham so that you can see all the saints, for your father is expecting you and is coming for you himself." So right there, he identifies that he is not his father Abraham. "Behold, the throne has been set up for you close to your father Abraham, and your lot and your beloved son Yaakov's lot will surpass that of all others in the whole of Elohim's creation. That is why you have been given forevermore the name of patriarch and father of the world." But the Elohim loving old man Yitzchak said to the angel, "I am astonished by you, for you are my father." And the angel answered, "My beloved Yitzchak, I am the angel that ministers to your father Abraham. But rejoice now, for I am to take you out of sorrow into gladness, out of suffering to rest forever. I am to transport you from prison to a place where you can range at will, to take a place of joy and gladness. I am to take you to where there is light and merriment and rejoicing and abundance that never fails. So then draw up your testament and a statement for your household, for I am to translate you to rest for all eternity. Blessed is your father who begot you. Blessed are you also. Blessed is your son Yaakov, and blessed are your descendants that will come after you." Now, I'm going to read another account of a guardian angel that is a doppelganger. What I don't want to necessarily make the case for is that you can prove in scripture that every single one of us have a guardian angel that look just like us. I don't know we can prove that. What we can show, aside from the fact, is that people like whoever wrote this document believe this to be true, that there are doppelganger angels out there, that Abraham had a doppelganger, is that I think that we can show is that the patriarchs and those, the foundations of Jerusalem and the gates, as I showed you earlier, had very highly ranked pre-existent angels who came down to earth as men, had doppelgangers who looked just like them. Here's one example right here. Of course, his name is also in the foundation of New Jerusalem. It's the apostle Peter, Kepha. So Kepha is released from prison. Peter is released from prison in the middle of the night by an angel, his guardian angel. He goes to the house of John Mark, and this is what we read. He's knocking on the door, and they said unto her, "You are mad." But she constantly affirmed that it was even so. Then said they, "It is his angel, angelos." Okay, so the context is that she sees Peter out there. They leave him in the dark. They don't know what to do. She goes in. They're like, well, this shows that there was a belief in the first century. Well, if it looked just like Peter, that's probably his angel. It's easy to miss, but it's there. So, but then we get over to the Acts of Peter, which I read from earlier tonight. This is chapter 22. And this is Marcellus. And he's talking about this angel he encountered. He's talking to Peter. Okay, so, and I said to thee, brother Kepha, whatever, I don't need to go through all this, but he's addressing this angel. He says this, and immediately talking to Peter, one like unto thee, Peter, O Kepha, having a sword, hewed her in pieces in this vision, so that I looked earnestly upon you both on thee and on him that cut in pieces that devil, and marveled greatly to see how alike ye were. So this is prophesying the fact that Kepha is going to send Simon Magus to his grave. He's going to cast him out of the sky. He's going to fall down. And we know that it was evil spirits that were able to get Simon Magus, the wizard, up there. And yet, according to this, something Kepha can't see in the material world, that while he's commanding Simon Magus to come down, he has a doppelganger guardian angel, which we first, the belief system we encountered in Acts. The angel goes up there and he's the one that takes Simon Magus down. It's kind of a neat thought, something that couldn't be seen. Of course, this is from Yosef and Aseneth. So, this is Dinah's daughter. This is Yosef. And she is visited by an angel in her house. It's a beautiful story. If you've never read Joseph and Asenath, there's your homework assignment for this weekend. If you're looking for extra biblical literature, Joseph and Asenath, I do have it on my website for free. You can go download it. This man called her a second time and said, Asenath, Asenath. He's like in her house, in her tower. She's the original Rapunzel that was based on the story. She was in the tower, locked in there, never saw a man. And she said, here am I, my Adonai, tell me who you are. And the man said, I am the commander of Yahweh's house and chief captain of all the hosts of the Most High. Stand up and I will speak to you. And she looked up and saw a man like Joseph in every respect. So, and this man, of course, this mystery matchmaker, this angel, is coming to get her to marry Joseph. And so isn't that interesting that the one who happens to look just like him is like, hey, you need to take this guy in marriage. So yeah, there's that. Kind of cool. All right, let's finish this tonight. The history of Esau continued. Thank you for everyone for being here. We are almost done. Now, these are the descendants of Esau, oh man, this is another chapter with names. So just bear with me, please. Do not unsubscribe from this channel while I try to get through this. Esau took women of Canaan. Adahah, the daughter of Ealawan, the Hethuya, and Ahalayah Bamaha, the daughter of Enuha. I'm sure that's a beautiful name for a woman, if you could pronounce that correctly. Daughter of Zaba Iwan, the Hawaya, and Bashamath, the daughter of Yesha Al, the sister of Nubayahwath. And Adahah bore to Esau Eliphaz, and Bashamath bore Real, and Ahalayah bore Ash and Yalam and Kurok. These are the sons of Esau, which they bore him in the land of Canaan. Esau afterwards took his women and his sons and daughters and all the persons of his house and the flocks and all his cattle and all property which he had acquired in the land of Canaan, and left the land from the face of his brother Jacob, for their possessions were too great to remain together, for the land was not able to lodge the both of them, which is just incredible to think about. That's a lot of cattle and sheep. I mean, the guys, like, I mean, they're talking here about, I'm assuming the general land of Canaan, not just Shechem, because remember now they went, Isaac is in a different location than Shechem. So this is like the totality of the land, that they had that much flock and servants and stuff like that. They could not live peaceably together. So Esau remained in Mount Shair. Esau is Adawam, or Esau was the father of the Edomites in Mount Shair, in Mount Seir. These are the names of the sons of the Edomites. Eliphaz, the son of Adahah, the woman of Esha. Hold on. Okay. You know what? I'm just going to do this, guys. I'm going to just read through the English. I'm sorry, just to make this more pleasant. You guys can read along on the side in the paleo, or if you have the book in front of you. These are the sons of Esau. These are the names of the Esau sons. Eliphaz, the son of Ada, the wife of Esau. Reuel, the son of Beshemath, the wife of Esau. And the son of Eliphaz were Taman, Omar, Zephawah, and Gatam, and Kenaz. And Timnah was concubine to Eliphaz, Esau's son, and she bare to Eliphaz Amalek. These were the sons of, that's interesting, Amalek. These were the sons of Ada, Esau's wife, and these are the sons of Reuel, Nahath and Zerah, Shammah and Mizah. These were the sons of Bashamath, Esau's wife, and these were the sons of Aholibama, the daughter of Anah, the daughter of Zibeon, Esau's wife, and she bare to Esau Yeush and Yelam and Korah, the chiefs of Edom. These were the dukes of the sons of Esau, the sons of Eliphaz, the firstborn son of Esau, Duke Teman, Duke Umar, Duke Zapha, Duke Kenaz, Duke Korah, Duke Gataman. And of course, Pamela, it says they're chief instead of Duke. and Chief Amalek. These are the chiefs that came to Eliphaz in the land of Edom. These were the sons of Ada, and these are the sons of Reuel, Esau's son, Duke Nahath, Duke Zerah, Duke Shammah, Duke Mizah. These are the dukes that came of Reuel in the land of Edom. These are the sons of Bashemoth, Esau's wife, and these are the sons of Aholibama, Esau's wife, Duke Yush, Duke Yalam, Duke Korah. These were the dukes that came of Aholibama and daughter of Anah, Esau's wife. These are the sons of Esau, who was Edom, and these are their dukes. These are the sons of Seir, the Horite, who inhabited the land, Lotan and Shobal and Zibeon and Anam and Dishon and Ezer and Dishon. These are the dukes of the Horites, the children of Seir in the land of Edom. And the children of Lotan were Hori and Hemam. And Lotan's sister was Timnah. And the children of Shobal were these, Alvin and Menahath and Ebal, Shepho and Onam. And these are the children of Zibeon, both Aya and Anah. This was that Anah that found the mules in the wilderness as he fed the asses of Zibeon, his father. And these that's a story there in Jasher. I think that's when the linemen came out, right? And attacked him, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to check. And these children of Anah were these, Dishon and Aholibama, the daughter of Anah. And these are the children of Dishon, Himdan and Ishban and Ithran and Cheran. These are the children of Ezer, are these, Bilhan and Zaavon and Achan. The children of Dishon are these, Uz and Aaron. These are the dukes that came of the Horites, Duke Lotan, Duke Shobal, Duke Zibeon, Duke Anah, Duke Dishon, Duke Ezer, Duke Dishon. These are the dukes that came of Hori among their dukes in the land of Seir, the kings of Edom. And these are the kings that reigned in the land of Edom before they reigned any king over the children of Yasharel. And Bela, the sons of Beor, reigned in Edom, and the name of his city was Dinhabah. And Bela died, and Jobab, the son of Zerah of Bozrah, reigned in his stead. And Jobab died, and Husham of the land of Temani reigned in his stead. And Husham died, and Hadad, the son of Bedad, who smote Midian in the field of Moab, reigned in his stead. And the name of the city was Evith. And Hadad died, and Samlah of Masreka reigned in his stead. And Samlah died, and Saul of Rehoboth by the river reigned in his stead. And Shaul died, and Baal-Hanan, the son of Achbor, reigned in his stead. And Baal-Hanan, the son of Achbor, died, and Hadar reigned in his stead. And the name of his city was Pau. And his wife's name was Mehetabel, the daughter of Matred, the daughter of Mezahab. And these are the names of the dukes that came of Esau, according to their families, after their places, by their names: Duke Timnah, Duke Alva, Duke Yetheth, Duke Aholibama, Duke Ella, Duke Penin, Duke Kenaz, Duke Teman, Duke Mibzar, Duke Magdiel, Duke Iram. These be the dukes of Edom, according to their habitations in the land of the possessions. He is Esau, the father of the Edomites. Get your breath out. All right, I did it. All right, everyone, and right at almost at the 2-hour mark, 2 hours and 3 minutes, we did it, everybody. We made it through. Just a reminder on your way out, guys. I'm going to be putting, this is going forward. No more GoFundMe. This is it. This is, of course, public. Give, Send, Go. This is great for, every single church has their budget. This is ours. This is what we're putting forward to provide, to take care of our widows, take care of Pamela and Rebecca, who in turn have family to take care of that they are supporting as they translate the Bible, guys. This is a full-time job. And this is investing in this. What we have read tonight, what we're reading every week, this is investing in that, and we need your help to do it. And I know that looks like a huge number, guys, but this is what we were trying to raise month by month to begin with. So love you guys. Just I ask you pray about it, that you would help out with our vision, and not just the paleo guys. I mean, we're doing a lot here, and they keep very, very, very busy keeping this place afloat. So have a restful Sabbath, everybody, whenever your Sabbath is, whether it's tonight, tomorrow, or you're later on this week, whenever it is. Love you guys. Let's do this again. And
Hey guys, Polyhard here, and I just want to let you know you have the opportunity to be awesome. How can you be awesome, you ask? Well, by supporting our work in the ministry, by going to the links below here and saying, you know what, I would like to see the entire Paleo-Hebrew Bible come out, and I want to see all these other Bibles and books and works that Noel's doing and have them edited, and we're doing that by supporting Pam and Rebecca and also the rest of everybody else. So please go below and pray. Say, you know what should I do? Should I give $1? Should I give nothing? Should I just pray harder? Should I give $5,000? Whatever he directs you to do, let's do that. Have a good day. Bye.